The building was already waiting for me when I arrived. That was the first strange thought that crossed my mind as I stood on the cracked sidewalk, staring up at the apartment complex. It wasn't tall, it wasn't impressive. Just an old six-story structure squeezed between two modern buildings, like a rotten tooth that no one bothered to pull. The paint had faded into a sickly gray, and the windows reflected the sky in a way that felt wrong, as if the glass were swallowing the light instead of returning it. The address matched the listing exactly. I remember checking my phone 3 times, making sure I hadn't come to the wrong place. Rent this low in the city felt like a miracle. No roommates, no credit check, no questions. Just a short email exchange and a single condition: payment in advance, 1 month at a time, 30 days. At the time, that didn't seem unusual. The front door creaked open before I touched it. I froze, my hand hovering in midair, my heartbeat suddenly loud enough to drown out the traffic behind me. The door stopped halfway, as if inviting me inside. I told myself it was just old hinges. Inside, the lobby smelled like dust and something sour underneath, like wet paper left too long in the dark. The lights flickered, casting long, trembling shadows across the floor. A narrow hallway stretched ahead, lined with mailboxes. Most of them were empty. Some hung open, bent and rusted, their labels scratched away. One mailbox still had a name. I didn't recognize it. The elevator at the end of the hall looked even older than the building itself. Its metal doors were scarred with deep scratches, not random, but clustered, like something had tried to claw its way out. I pressed the call button. Nothing happened. A voice spoke behind me. "You're late." I spun around so fast my neck hurt. An old man stood near the stairwell, so still I hadn't noticed him before. He was thin, almost fragile, wearing a brown coat that looked decades out of fashion. His eyes were pale and watery, fixed on me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. "Late for what?" I asked. He stared at me for a moment longer, then glanced at his wrist. There was no watch there, just skin. "Day 1, he said quietly. "They're always late on day 1. Before I could ask who they were, he turned and disappeared down the stairwell, his footsteps soundless. I didn't follow him. My apartment was on the 4th floor. The stairs groaned with every step, as if protesting my presence. The hallway up there was long and narrow, the ceiling so low I felt compressed, like the building was pressing down on me. Doors lined both sides, all identical, all closed, except mine. The door to apartment 4B was already open. Inside, the place was fully furnished. Too fully. Couch, dining table, bed, shelves, all neatly arranged, spotless, as if no one had ever lived there, yet everything felt used. The air was stale, heavy, like it hadn't been disturbed in a long time. On the kitchen counter sat an envelope. My name was written on it in careful, deliberate handwriting. Inside was a single piece of paper. "Welcome. Rules are simple. Stay inside after midnight. Do not open the door if you hear knocking. Do not look through the bathroom mirror between 2 and 3 a.m. If you hear someone calling your name, it is not for you. 30 days is the contract." At the bottom, one final line. "You won't last longer anyway." I laughed. A short, nervous sound that echoed too loudly in the small apartment. Some kind of sick joke, I thought. A scare tactic. Maybe the landlord had a weird sense of humor. I put the note in a drawer and unpacked. The first night passed quietly. Too quietly. No traffic noise, no sirens, no neighbors. Just silence so deep it felt like pressure against my ears. I didn't sleep much, but nothing happened. On day 3, I noticed the scratching. It came from inside the walls. At first, it was faint, easy to ignore. I told myself it was rats, or pipes, or the building settling. But it happened every night at exactly the same time, 12:07 a.m., a slow, deliberate scraping sound, moving along the walls, circling the apartment, like something pacing. I tried knocking on the walls. The sound stopped immediately. Then, from the other side of the wall, something knocked back. 3 slow knocks. I didn't knock again. By day 7, I realized I hadn't seen another tenant. Not once. No footsteps in the hallway, no voices, no doors opening or closing. The building felt hollow, like I was the only living thing inside a corpse. I tried to leave. The front door wouldn't open. I pushed, pulled, slammed my shoulder against it. Nothing. The handle turned freely, useless in my hand. Panic rose in my throat, hot and choking. I ran to the windows. They opened, but when I leaned out, the street below wasn't the street I remembered. The buildings were wrong. The sky was wrong. Everything looked faded, distant, like a bad photograph. I slammed the window shut. That night, someone knocked on my door. Softly, politely. I froze in my bed, heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. The knocking came again. 3 taps. A voice followed. "Hey, it's me. Open up." It sounded exactly like my own voice. I buried my face in the pillow and didn't move. After a while, the knocking stopped. The next morning, I found scratches on the inside of my door. By day 10, the mirror started changing. At first, it was subtle. My reflection lagged behind my movements by a fraction of a second. Then it began to smile when I didn't. Its eyes followed me even when I turned away. One night, I woke up at 2:14 a.m. with an overwhelming urge to look at it. My body moved before my mind caught up, dragging me into the bathroom. The reflection wasn't me anymore. It was thinner. Its skin hung loose, stretched tight over bone. Its mouth opened impossibly wide, jaw cracking as it smiled. "Almost," it whispered, though its lips never moved. I smashed the mirror with my fist. Glass exploded across the floor, cutting my skin. The reflection shattered with it, breaking into pieces that continued to grin from the ground. The scratching grew louder after that. By day 15, I was counting. Scratches on the walls, knocks on the door, whispers through the vents, footsteps pacing just outside my bedroom at night. I started finding things moved. My phone on the wrong table, my shoes lined up facing the door. The note I'd hidden in the drawer returned to the counter, unfolded, with new words written beneath the original text. Halfway. I tried calling for help. My phone showed full signal, but every call connected to static. Sometimes, buried beneath the noise, I heard breathing. Heavy, patient. On day 18, I saw the old man again. He was standing at the end of the hallway, facing away from me. His shoulders slumped even lower than before. "Why can't I leave?" I demanded, my voice shaking. He turned slowly. His face was wrong. His eyes were sunken deep into his skull, his skin gray and translucent. "You can leave," he said. "You just can't live past it." "What does that mean?" He smiled sadly. 30 days isn't a limit," he whispered. "It's a harvest." Then he was gone. After that, the apartment stopped pretending. The walls bulged at night, stretching as if something inside them was breathing. Shadows moved against the ceiling with no source. I stopped sleeping entirely, afraid of what I might do if I closed my eyes. On day 23, I found a door in my bedroom that hadn't been there before. It was small, no taller than my waist, set into the wall behind the bed. It pulsed slightly, like a living thing. I knew, without understanding how, that it let out. I also knew the price. Behind me, the apartment whispered my name. Every voice I'd heard, every knock, every scratch blended into a single sound, begging, urging. I didn't open the door. On day 27, I started forgetting things, words, faces. My own reflection, now visible again in the broken mirror shards, no longer matched me at all. It looked stronger, healthier, hungry. On day 29, the knocking returned, louder this time, violent. "Time," my voice said from the other side. The walls split open, revealing darkness filled with eyes. Hands reached out, brushing my skin, leaving cold burns wherever they touched. I ran to the small door. As I opened it, the apartment screamed. Day 30 never came. They found the building years later, sealed and abandoned. Inside apartment 4B, everything was intact, clean, ready. On the counter, a fresh envelope waited, already addressed. "Welcome."